Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang, and today we're going to be doing some more solo role manging, solo role playing. Um, in about as video game of a way as you can do solo RPGs. We're going to be on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. We're going to be playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and we're going to be playing the Pathfinder beginner box module. So you can buy the Pathfinder beginner box, of course, as a physical product, play it that way, but it's also available digitally on Foundry, and it's really a quite nicely set up for Foundry. Like, they take care of practically everything they can take care of for you, to make it as simple and easy to run as possible. So it's pretty fantastic, and I'm not really sure if I'm ever gonna upload this video because Lego and I on Two Brothers Play are gonna be doing this module. I'm gonna be kind of DMing for him and slightly playing it. So I don't know if I need to upload this as a solo thing, because as a viewer, that will probably be the better experience, because we'll just be showing Lego screen, so you'll be able to kind of, watch along from his perspective. Whereas here, you're going to kind of see the whole, you're going to see behind the screen, basically. But I wanted to do this because I really want to learn Pathfinder 2nd Edition a bit more. And I could have just done this on my own and played through it and blah, blah, blah. But it's better, I think, when I record it and I kind of talk my way through everything. It helps me understand things better. So, Pathfinder, it's Pathfinder kind of spun out of D&D 3.5 edition many years ago. Just already due to, like, differing of opinions between Paizo and Wizards of the Coast. Paizo, I believe, originally they started by making stuff for D&D. But then Wizards of the Coast went on to 4th edition, and they were like, well, we don't like that. We're going to do our own thing called Pathfinder. And so Pathfinder continued that sort of era of gaming, very kind of min-maxy. If you've watched any of my stuff of, like, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous or Kingmaker, the video games, yeah, it's obviously a lot of that kind of stuff. Fairly crunchy. 2nd edition came out like 5 years ago now, and I had plenty of other fantasy games I was playing, and I didn't. Had I been playing the Owl, or had the Owlcat games existed at that point, I had played those and blah blah blah. Maybe I would have gotten into 2nd edition, but I just passed it by until now. And the reason that I'm really looking into Pathfinder 2nd edition now is because of Foundry. It's probably the best supported system on Foundry. Yes, D&D 5th edition is on here now, and they're adding more stuff, but the overall quality level of the content for Pathfinder is just a lot better, and probably a better system. So, So they recently now are going through a remaster, Pathfinder 2nd edition remastered, and I was led to believe that this was just kind of a lot of renaming stuff, because they're trying to separate completely from Wizards of the Coast's OGL. If any of you recall that whole debacle where Wizard of the Coast was really trying to just, like, copyright just a lot of fundamental aspects of RPGs, and that caused a big tizzy, and they kind of backed up on that, but obviously that spooked the shit out of a lot of companies now. So that led to the creation of Orc, which is the open... I don't... open role-playing something. I don't even remember. It's probably listed in this book I have somewhere. But anyways... So they, they wanted to kind of separate from the OGL, and you can see then in the back of this book, the Orc license. This product is licensed under the Orc license to be held in the Library of Congress and available online. Blah, blah, blah. So it removes stuff like alignment now. That's completely gone. Many things have been renamed completely. A lot of the stuff that we've just kind of had for decades, and we just kind of are very familiar with the names of, like Magic Missile. Magic Missile is gone. You will only find that now in, like, Dungeons & Dragons. And probably a bunch of other systems that haven't switched over or don't want to or whatever. But at least in Pathfinder now, Magic Missile is no longer a thing. Now I think it's called Force Barrage or something. Anyways, so that's what I was led to believe, is it was mostly just kind of a renaming and restructuring a little bit. But now it seems like they're actually going through and changing some rules and, like, kind of fixing things. It's almost like Pathfinder 2.1 edition or something. I'm not quite sure the extent of it, because I have not read the rulebook for regular 2nd edition. But now I have the new version. And I was reading about some of the stuff they just announced for, like, their upcoming books, and it sounds like the Alchemist class is getting, like, a big rework because no one likes the Alchemist. So they are taking the opportunity here, since they are remastering it, so to speak, to actually fix some things. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. So, yeah, so the main reason I'm getting into Pathfinder 2nd edition now is because of Foundry, because it's really well done. And, Lego and I are going to be trying out, seeing how we like kind of two-person RPGs, and I may want to incorporate a display into, like, my RPG night with my family to run Foundry, like, at a table, to kind of assist me with, like, organizing monsters and things like that. I don't know if I want to run Pathfinder 2nd edition for them, but I'm not quite sure yet. I need to play it some more. But I'm mainly looking at 13th Age for them, and that would help quite a bit. Anyways, let's get to the beginner box. So there is actually a solo adventure, sort of, in the beginner box, designed to be run solo. It's called Pirates King Plunder, and this is more just like a choose-your-own-adventure book. You don't have a map. You don't even have a character, really. It's just like, if you decide to do this, go to this entry, that sort of thing. But it does incorporate some of the basic rules. And there are dice rolls. It's actually kind of an old, like, this sort of concept has been around for many years. So, like, you'll get into a fight with a wolf, and then you'll roll dice, and the wolf will roll dice. You'll roll dice for the wolf, and it's like, if you defeat the wolf, go to this entry. If the wolf kills you, go to this entry. Not very interesting, though, for a video. So we're going to be doing Menace under Otari. And, again, we're mostly interested in the rules here and, like, the combat. It is a very combat-centric adventure, as is, I'm sure, a lot of Pathfinder, as is Dungeons & Dragons. So we're mostly interested in that combat, so we can learn all the rules for that. But it's very much a tutorial module. Each room on, like, the first floor of the dungeon you go through is designed to teach you a new concept or a new mechanic or something like that. So, yeah, it's designed to teach new game masters and players how to play Pathfinder. Each section of the adventure will teach new concepts as you need them, adding more and more to the game. So, as for heroes, we have pre-generated PCs. And we actually have a bunch of pre-gens, thanks to Foundry. But we're going to specifically be using the characters from the beginner box, because the adventure is designed with these 4 in mind. Okay, so we have Valeros, the fighter, the human fighter. Okay, there's Valeros. We have Mariciel. I'm not quite sure. The elven rogue. We have Kira, the human cleric. And we have Ezrin, the human wizard. Very human-centric party we have here. But certainly very, very classic kind of party. Fighter, rogue, cleric, wizard. And, you know, there's a decent amount of things to go over. But if you've played any sort of fantasy D20 game, a lot of this is going to be pretty familiar. And thankfully, I have played, you know, the Pathfinder PC games, so that does help certain concepts, although that is 1st edition, not 2nd edition. And we'll get into how it all plays, don't worry. Okay, but there's our 4 characters. Okay, so we're going to set the scene here. The small seaside town of Otari is known for its fresh fish and skilled sailors, but above all, it's a big logging town, providing valuable wood to the nearby metropolis of Absalom. But for you, Otari is home. You grew up playing on the docks, getting lost in the nearby woods, and hearing the fantastical stories of travelers from faraway lands, tales of terrifying dragons and virtuous knights. Such adventure always seemed so distant, until today. Word has begun to spread around Otari that there's a problem down at the Otari fishery. Some are saying that some sort of beast is lurking in the basement, feeding on the stores of salted fish. Folks are worried that whatever is eating the fish might get hungry enough to eat the fishers next. You've received a letter from Tamily Tandervale, the owner of the fishery. Inside is a desperate plea for help. With the town guard busy protecting the loggers, she needs a few brave souls to venture down into the basement of her warehouse and put an end to the beast that's feasting on her fish. Do you have the courage to face the menace under Otari? Okay. So, we're going to go to the first floor. And again, you're going to see the whole map. I'm not really going to be... But the thing is, what's funny is, if you played this on the table, if you played this physically, you'd just lay down the whole map. The players would see this entire thing. They just wouldn't know what was in each room. So it's not really that big of a deal. But it is cooler as a player on Foundry, where all you see at the start would be... you'd see this. That's all you would see. Very exciting. You don't know what sort of adventure is going to await you. Okay. So, that's good. The stairs leading into the basement of the Otari fishery creak with age as you make your way downstairs to find the beast that has been eating all the fish. In the center of the room, between stone pillars holding up the fishery overhead, are barrels filled with salted fish. 2 of these barrels have been smashed open, spilling their contents on the floor. In the east wall is a large hole opening into darkness. Just a few hours ago, you gathered with a few other adventurers in the office of Tamily Tandervale, where she offered you 10 gold pieces each if you could put an end to this menace. She was thrilled when you agreed to help her with this simple task, but as you make your way downstairs, you can't help but wonder if this might be a lot more adventure than you bargained for. Okay, so each player would then have the opportunity to kind of do one thing, and I saw someone suggest online, actually, that you should put, like, an ethereal wall here. Oops. We've already... if I reset Fog of War... There. So then they couldn't just see that there's a big cavern over there. They could walk through it, you know, if someone stepped into the wall. But at least it blocks the line of sight initially. A small touch, but I saw someone recommend a few little extra things like that you should add. So anyways, yeah, you'd be poking around here, but clearly there's some rubble here, something to miss. So we'd get the characters kind of poking around and blah, blah, blah. And then a strange chittering comes from the hole in the wall. Suddenly, a massive rat the size of a dog emerges from the darkness, and it isn't alone. The giant rats rush toward you, their huge teeth snapping. Okay. So, we actually have these, and, wait a minute, I only have 3? No, there it is. Okay. Alright, so then these would all become visible. And we want to add all characters to the encounter. Encounter tracker, there we go. And then we're going to want to roll for everybody. So we will just click roll all, because everyone's going to be using the same stat of perception. It's pretty simple. We can just go through and click roll for everybody. And there we have the encounter begin. Valeros will be going first. What does it mention here? On its turn, each rat moves toward a different hero and attacks. If a hero falls unconscious, the rat moves to the next nearest and attacks. Pretty basic. So on and so forth. So, the basic the combat system. It all revolves around actions, of course. Every character, obviously with some exceptions, but every character gets 3 actions per turn. And pretty much kind of everything is an action. Every character does get a reaction per round, so there are some reactions. There's also some free actions. But mostly everything is 1 or more actions. So movement is an action, attacking is an action, casting a spell is an action, interacting with something is an action, tripping is an action, shoving is an, all sorts. There's a lot. There's a lot of actions. And so Valeros obviously is right next to a rat. He's probably going to want to just strike it. So you can actually swing your sword, doing a strike action. You can do that 3 times in a row if you want. Nobody on God's green earth will stop you from swinging 3 times in a row. However, it's almost never the way to go. So every character does have the option to do multi-attacks each turn. But you're going to get multi-attack penalties. So your first strike per turn is done at, your full benefit. Everything's good to go. So his first strike would be +9 on the roll, which is very good. How does he even get +9? There must be something with being a fighter or something. That seems so high compared to other characters I've looked at. I don't know. Oh, he's an expert. Oh, fighters must get expert in weapons. That's pretty big. Yeah, that's pretty big. Fighters also are like the only class that gets reactive strike, which is your opportunity attack. So it's good to have a fighter. Anyways, so yeah, your first strike, +9. The second one, however, is going to be made at -5. So his would only be a +4 then on his second strike. And then the third one is at -10. So for him, it would just be -1 on a d20 to try and hit. So there's definitely cases to be made for attacking twice, but that third strike, there's almost always going to be some other better action to do. In Valeros's case, he's often going to want to use his Raise a Shield ability. This is an action that you have to take on your turn. And that will actually give you your shield's benefit to your armor class. So even if you have a shield, you don't get a bonus to your armor class at all unless you use the Raise a Shield action on your turn, and that lasts until the start of your next turn. So he's often going to want to do that. He also has Sudden Charge, so for 2 actions, that's what the double arrow there means, he can move twice and swing. So he kind of saves an action by doing that if he's gonna move twice. So that's really good. Like I said, he does have Reactive Strike, so he can do opportunity attacks against creatures moving near him or making ranged attacks. And that's one of the big things that was really startling to me, is how uncommon opportunity attacks are. Valeros is the only character of these 4 that can do it, and I don't think any monster in this entire adventure can do it. And obviously I haven't looked at the whole bestiary or anything like that, but clearly it's quite rare for opportunity attacks to even come up at all. He also, though, instead of doing that, can spend his reaction on shield block. If he has his shield raised, and he would take physical damage from an attack, he uses his shield to block it. So it reduces the damage by an amount up to its hardness, which is 5. And then both he and the shield take any remaining damage, possibly breaking or destroying the shield, because your shield does have health. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably going to make opportunity attacks, if possible, but if not, shield block's not bad if somebody's just beating on you. Okay, so his first order of business then, of course, is just going to be swinging his longsword. So, +9. Okay, this is a good opportunity for another sort of different thing. Okay, so a 20 is still typically a crit if you roll a natural 20. But the specific rule is that it increases the degree of success by 1. So what that means is there's 4 different degrees of success. There's failure, success, critical failure, critical success. And so normally if you roll a natural 20, you're probably succeeding at whatever task you're doing. And so it bumps it up to a critical success. Okay, makes sense. But it could mean that if you're doing something really difficult, like trying to hit God or something, a natural 20 might still result in just a failure, and it would bump it up to a success. So it wouldn't be a critical success, it would just be a success, but that's still better than failing, where normally you would just fail. It is possible, they mention, for a natural 20 roll, if you're doing something so ridiculous, that it could turn a critical failure into a failure. And that's because if you succeed on a dice roll by more than 10, or 10 or more, it becomes a critical success. And also, if you fail by 10 or more, it becomes a critical failure. So here's a good demonstration of that. I did not roll a 20 on my dice roll. I rolled a 16. But the resulting number of my roll was 25 against the rat's armor class of 15. So I beat his number by 10. And that means that I crit him. So it was automatically a critical, even though I only rolled a 16. So your kind of degree of crits can vary a lot depending on how much you kind of outclass your opponent. So for Valeros's first strike against a rat, he crits on a 16 through 20, which is pretty good. Pretty good. So we're gonna roll crit damage, which is 1d8 plus 4 times 2 for 10 damage. And then we're going to oh shit. Yeah, I want to turn that I want to turn that on. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, we're just gonna... There you go. Okay, so he took 10 damage. So we will hide him. He no longer exists. Okay, so that was his first action. His second action, of course, will be to try and kill this second rat. And I don't actually have to open his thing now. We have this nice... there's a bunch of mods, obviously. Mods are awesome. So we're going to click this, plus 4 this time. I rolled a 22. Not a crit. Because we only beat him by 7. But that's good enough. 1d8 plus 4. 6 damage. There you go. Not enough to kill the rat. But a decent hit. Now, I could try swinging a third time. You know, I could try swinging with a -1. I'd have to get a 16 or better on the roll, which is a 20% chance. Not really ideal. So instead, we are going to raise our shield. There is other things I could do. I could try punching him, which, because unarmed attacks have the agile trait, and that means that if a weapon or an ability or something has the agile trait, the multi-attack penalty is not as severe. So it's only -4 for your second strike, and then -8 for the third strike. So I could actually try punching with a +1, which would be a 14 or higher required. Still not really ideal, so we'll raise our shield. Other things that I could do are like tripping the monster, or shoving the monster, or trying to reposition it. I could try and aid someone else to give them an extra +1 or something on their roll, on their turn. Things like that. I mean, again, there's just loads and loads of actions. So, but yeah, we will raise our shield. Okay. Moving on to Kira. Who's up here? Kira, I suppose, will... what does she got? She's got a scimitar. She gets +4 on her roll with that, which is not amazing. It has... Hold on. It's got some traits here. It's got the forceful trait. So when you attack with it more than once on your turn, the second attack gains a circumstance bonus to damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice. Aha, so she's encouraged to attack multiple times. It also has the sweep trait. You have +1 circumstance bonus to your attack roll if you already attempted to attack a different target this turn using this weapon. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's an option. She also has spells, of course. She's got some cantrips, which she can use as much as she wants. She has a couple first-rank spells, Breathe Fire and Runic Weapon, so she can cast each one of those once per day. And she also has Divine Font Healing, so she can use this 4 times per day, I assume. And she can heal 1d8. And it has variable action cost, so if she spends 1 action to cast it, it has a range of touch, so she has to be next to the person. If she spends 2 actions, it extends out to 30 feet, and increases the heal amount by 8. If she spends 3 actions, she disperses vital energy in a 30-foot emanation, which targets all living and undead creatures in the burst. So out of combat, pretty nice. Yeah, pretty good. So we could do something like that. I mean, she has Vitality Lash as a cantrip that she could cast within 30 feet, but this is only against undead. 2d6 vitality damage. the basic fortitude save. So really for offensive purposes, her main thing is going to be her scimitar, which makes me wish she was better at it. Okay, so she was here. So she can stride as one action up to her speed, which is 25 feet. So 5 squares. 1, 2, 3. And she's going to attempt to kill this rat. She just barely made it. 15 damage. Or 15 on the roll. So she'll roll 5 damage. Killing that rat. Good. And then I guess we probably can remove this wall now. It's all visible. She will target this rat. And she will get the sweep bonus. So 25% chance of hitting. It's fairly unlikely. She could do something. No, this would be her. Yeah, not much. Not many options. Okay. So, miss, and that is her turn. And unfortunately, she didn't raise her shield. So she'll just be living her best life. Alright, well, this rat is just gonna stay right here and do it. So it's just gonna be... It does not have many special abilities. It just has Jaws. It does have the Agile trait on there, so he can attack slightly better on subsequent attacks. But really, this is a basic giant rat. Nothing too exciting. Okay, +7. That is definitely a hit. 18. 1d6 plus 1 is going to be 3 damage to Kira. Second roll is a critical miss. That doesn't really mean anything unless some sort of effect mentions that there's something that happens on a critical miss. By default, it's just, keep going. And then -1 on the roll, also a miss. Okay, not very exciting. Mariciel, our rogue. So she's got a rapier, which has the deadly trait. So on a crit, it will add a d8 damage, which is pretty nice. It can be used to disarm, even if you don't have a free hand. And finesse, so she can use dex. She also has dagger and short sword just in case. And as for kind of special stuff that she's got, she has the thief feature here from Rogue's Racket, so she gets to add her dex mod to damage rolls instead of strength, which is good. She, of course, has sneak attack, so if she strikes a creature that has the off-guard condition, which is the new term for flat-footed. So that, you get flat-footed from a handful of different effects, most commonly like flanking a creature, being on opposite sides of it with your characters, or if they're prone. That's another common one. So she attacks an off-guard creature. She deals an extra 1d6 at this point. And on the first round of combat, if she rolled Deception or Stealth for initiative, creatures that haven't acted are off guard to her. She did not, because in order to roll, like, Stealth for initiative, you have to be, like, trying to hide beforehand when combat breaks out. By default, I don't think you can just, like, as soon as shit hits the fan, be like, oh god, I hide, I think you have to be kind of declaring that beforehand. So that's that. She's got stuff with traps and smuggling, which isn't really going to come up here. We're not going to be stealing a whole lot. So by and large, she's mostly just going to be interested in either getting enemies prone or flanking, and then getting her sneak attack. So, for our purposes, though, there's not going to be a lot of flanking here in these tight corridors. So she's just going to be moving up And we could try and trip, I suppose, or faint. What would she be better at? She's got 4 athletics, 3 deception, so I guess probably tripping is better. So it does not automatically add like all the different possible actions that you could do to this toolbar, or to your character sheet for that matter. But if we would go here and we go to trip, we can put that into actions. I don't know if that'll actually do the roll. So, yeah, I mean, basically, it's just going to be a... I mean, we can link it in chat, but it's... whatever. It's going to be an athletics versus their reflex. There you go. So we rolled a 19. Their reflex was 17, so we trip. And it actually automatically applied the prone effect and the off-guard effect. So, pretty nice. Again, like the Pathfinder system on Foundry is better than anything else. So now we're going to do our strike, and it will automatically take into account the off-guard, which will lower its AC by 2. So instead of a 15, it has 13. You can see it denoted that. Doesn't matter, we would have hit it anyways. So, but, you know, lowering its AC makes it more likely to be crit, which is pretty good. But we're going to roll damage, and you can see, again, it's also automatically including sneak attack because it's off guard to us. So, like, yes, a very brain-dead player could just walk up to every enemy and swing as many times as they possibly can and keep hoping for rolls. But doing something as simple as just tripping the enemy as one of your actions is such a big boon. So it really encourages kind of breaking out of that paradigm of, say, 5th edition D&D or most sort of D&D or fantasy D20 games of just I attack with my sword, I attack with my sword, I use Eldritch Blast, so on and so forth. Like, really kind of moving around the battlefield. You know, that's what, you know, they removed ops from a lot of things. So you're moving around the battlefield, you're trying to flank, you're trying to trip, you're feinting, you're doing all these different actions and stuff like that. And it's, yeah, it's really, it's pretty damn cool. Okay, so all in all, 11 damage to the giant rat. Definitely is a kill. So that's 3 down. And now we have the wizard. Now, I don't know if you'd call that line of sight. Nope, definitely straight through the wall. So the wizard is going to have to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our wizard, of course, gets a good amount of spells. So we have cantrips, as always. So you have some fun stuff like Daze. You can always just cast. It's a will save or 1d6 damage. If they critically fail a save, they are also stunned. We have telekinetic projectile, 30 feet. You just shoot a little rock at them for 2d6 damage. And we also have 3 first-rank spells. So we took Force Barrage twice. Again, it's like Magic Missile. So, but the interesting thing is, you can do this as 1, 2, or 3 actions, and that determines how many shards, how many missiles you shoot. Each one doing 1d4 plus 1 damage. So it's a very flexible spell, but considering how kind of expensive these spells are per day, you probably want to do it 3 times. So we've already moved once, so we only have 2 actions left. We have Mystic Armor, which lasts all day. So you should have just cast this immediately, because there's no reason not to. Plus 1 to AC, and a max dex mod of plus 5. So we'll want to cast that after this. But then you also have focus spells. So a lot of different classes actually get these. And these are sort of like encounter abilities. You have a focus pool, which is it's basically for every focus spell you have, you get 1 focus to your focus pool up to a max of 3. So you can't have more than 3 focus pool. And these spells all cost, 1 focus from your pool. And then out of combat, you can spend 10 minutes meditating to recover 1 focus. And you can do that, multiple times. So at most, you spend 30 minutes after combat and you get back your focus pool. But like I said, a lot of characters are going to have this. So it's not just going to be like the wizard being like, please, man, can we please just spend 30 minutes here? Like, multiple characters are probably going to want to do it. So you're kind of encouraged to use these focus spells every combat. But you don't always have, unlimited time. So there will be times you can't replenish your focus. But most of the time, it's kind of just per encounter abilities, which is pretty nice. So we could just use Force Bolt here. I guess there isn't much reason not to use it. But I'd rather not wait 10 minutes afterwards in this situation. So instead, let's just use Telekinetic Projectile, which is 2 actions. And this is going to be our little rock, so we'll use Bludgeoning. And this is a normal attack. 17 is a hit. We will roll damage, 2d6, 8 damage, dead. And that is our first encounter. Okay. End encounter. And now I have a mod that automatically looks at how much XP was in the encounter and distributes it to everybody. So, there you go. Everybody got 80 XP. Now, what is the module actually? Oh, 80 XP. Perfect. Good. It's right on there. Okay. If the heroes return to talk to Tamily, she's relieved to learn that the rats are dead. But she's certain the rats couldn't have caused all of the destruction below. Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty optimistic of the players to be like, well, we did the job, I guess let's go back up and get our gold. But yes, I'm certain that happens. Players are just greedy assholes. Okay, we're going to continue on, however. We have things to do. So Valeros, progress. And he should not actually have his shield raised anymore. Okay, so we head further into this tunnel. Okay, and we come to this ledge. Squeezing through the hole, you find yourself in a cavern that seems to stretch endlessly beneath the streets of Otari. Who knows what menace could be lurking down here? Up ahead, the passageway ends in a cliff that plunges sharply into the darkness. So we have to find a way to climb down a short, slippery cliff. And this is where skill checks come into play. The cliff is only 10 feet tall, but the surface is slick with moisture. Climbing safely requires a 15 athletics skill check. And so on Foundry, you can actually just click this in here. It wouldn't say Ezra in there. There you go. That's what it would say. And then all the players, that have their token selected or whatever, they can just click this roll button and click roll. Okay. So, here. So then it goes on to mention that you could use a rope, which would lower the number to 10 instead, which is a lot better. And you can also have people assisting. And so to assist, you have to do a separate athletics check. And if you succeed on that check, then you give someone else a +1 on their roll. Unless you crit on that, then you get +2. So a lot of the game, there's a lot more. There's a lot more mentions of critical success and critical failure for all sorts of stuff, because it's not that it happens a lot more outside of just rolling a 20 or rolling a 1. Based on bonuses to rolls or penalties to rolls. It can happen all the time, especially with a DC 10 skill check. A DC 10 skill check means that if you have +5 to your roll, you're critting on a 15 or higher, you know, stuff like that. Whereas if you have a DC 15, you are critically failing if you roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 if you have no bonuses on your roll. But I think practically everyone is trained in... No, not everyone is trained in athletics, no. Okay, anyways. So we had two people succeed, one person fail, and then one person critically succeed. So the critical succeed, Kira, is down there. She's done. She's all good. The two people that just succeeded, Ezrin and Valeros, they are halfway down. And the failure does not mean falling in this case. It just means that, like, she's, like, apprehensive about climbing down or something. I don't know how you would narrate it exactly, but they didn't get anywhere. So these three people then have to roll again, whereas Kira is just fine. And Kira could actually try and assist someone. Which is fun. It's nice that she succeeded. Or she crit, she only had a +1. But she's going to try and help Ezrin. So first she's going to attempt another athletics check. I don't think there's any penalty if she fails. And she critically fail. I don't think there's any... Yeah, I don't think there's anything to do if you fail the aid. It just doesn't happen. Maybe if you critically fail, it's like a -1. I have to go. I've leafed through this rule book so many fucking times. It actually probably would be faster for me to go here, and I think it's... Is it aid? Aid? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. Critical failure is a -1. Okay. So, she has hindered him, actually. Okay. So I believe this is Ezrin, so we'll just add a -1 circumstance to that. So he failed. They all failed. They're all exactly where they were. Okay, she's not going to try and aid anymore. This is painful. Obviously, a rope would have been just the ticket. Okay, we got 2 successes, and those people... No, okay. Valeros is down. He's all good. Mauricial is halfway down, but now Ezrin critically failed, so he falls 5 feet. So he takes 2 damage. He has been slightly injured, and his ego bruised. And now all that's left is Mauricial to finish the rest of the journey. There she goes. Okay, we're all down. There is little of interest in this tunnel, but anyone who looks can find a trail in the dust and grime, making it clear that creatures have come this way in the recent past. Moisture and time have obscured any details, such as footprints, however. The mushrooms in the lower part of the chamber are particularly bitter, but edible. Okay. So, when I haven't logged into this as a player, only as a game master, but it should be that this is all, like, actually dark, and you can't actually see it. That's how it's supposed to work. But, it uses this special sort of automation thing for rules-based vision. And I don't know. No, so I don't know. It's just something like with... Because he should not have dark vision or anything like that. You know, he should be quite default as a human. I don't even know where it would mention that he has dark vision or something, but yeah, I'm pretty certain he does not. So this should all be pitch dark for him, and I know that that feature does work because I have, you know, in another map, I have seen it where it's actually dark. Even when I was logged in as a game master. So I don't know. I don't know. And it is kind of important, I think, because it makes it a lot better. You don't just see everything automatically, and you actually have to have, like, torches or light spells. Now, obviously, Ezrin does have the light spell, and it's a cantrip, so... And it lasts all day. And you can have up to 4 light spells active at the same time. So, yeah, I mean, everyone can have a light, and it wouldn't be that really big of a factor at all. But, you know, now it's like too bright. Now I don't even like it. Now I don't even like it. Stop it. Okay, we'll have Valeros with the light, and that's it. Anyways, I also wanted him to cast his Mystic Armor. Okay, and that automatically applied it, so that's all good. Good. I'm all happy with that. Okay, anyways, moving on to the next section. The tunnel continues deeper underground, eventually opening into a large chamber. Patches of glowing blue fungus cling to the ceiling and provide dim light. You can just barely make out vast strands of webbing across the floor and walls of this cavern, stretching between stalactites like shimmering curtains. Okay. So, chamber is home to a very big spider, obviously, waiting to ambush anything that wanders through its web. The webs aren't sticky enough to make anyone who touches them unable to move, but they do slow characters down. Each square that has webbing in it is difficult terrain that's particularly hard to move through. Moving into a square of difficult terrain costs an extra 5 feet of movement, and a creature can't step into a square of difficult terrain. Which sounds very funny, but a step is an action that you move 5 feet and you don't provoke like reactive strikes. You don't provoke ops. So obviously I think step is way less useful now than the 5-foot step is in like Pathfinder 1st edition. As far as, I mean, obviously my understanding is fairly limited, but that's what I understand. Step. You carefully move 5 feet. Unlike most types of movement, stepping doesn't trigger reactions such as reactive strike that can be triggered by move actions or upon leaving or entering a square. You can't step into difficult terrain. You can't step using a speed other than your land speed. So it doesn't trigger reactions based on movement. How many of those are there? I don't know. Okay, anyways. So the spider doesn't emerge until someone touches one of its webs. Anyone trying to cross through the room without touching the webs must attempt a DC 15 acrobatics skill check to carefully balance on rocks and narrow ledges. If anyone fails the check, the spider senses them in the room and emerges to attack. Now, how would I handle this if I was a player here? I feel like, with the way that it describes... I mean, it's a room filled with spider webs. I think you would just assume there's spiders here. I think you'd probably... I mean, honestly, I feel like probably I'm surprised it doesn't mention it, because I feel like it would be such a common thing. But just using a torch to burn the webs. How would that not be one of the most common approaches? Um... Yeah, I don't know. I just I feel like that would be it. So I guess let's have let's go like here. And let's have Mauricio equip her torch. So we'll have her throw that into her hand. And then light the torch. And then we'll say we're burning the webs. And that's not like a skill check or anything. These aren't magical webs. It's just webs. Now, if I was the DM, what would I do in reaction? Because they have nullified now an aspect of this fight, you know? Which is good. I mean, creative thinking, you should be kind of rewarded. So it, they've nullified the difficult terrain. And that's kind of all it does. It's all it is, really. It's difficult terrain. So it's not like a big benefit. Of course, the spider is going to come out and be quite enraged at them burning down all its hard work. So I'd probably give it like a buff, really, like +1 to attack rolls and damage rolls or something. And I don't know how easy that is. Yeah, see, 13th Age, it's pretty easy to just slap on a quick effect like that. But I guess you can't just freehand effects that simply. I mean, I can manually add +1 to all its shit each time it rolls, but that's not quite as nice. So I don't know if there's just a typical effect. Probably not. There's a lot of negative effects. Quicken gives you an additional action each turn, which is pretty great. No, I don't know if there's a way to do that. Oh, you can make it a leap, but that's a big bump. I wouldn't even know what to search for, really. Effects, bestiary effects. There's probably one in here that would make sense. Is there just like a rage or something I can throw on? You know, as a DM, I like doing stuff like that. So this is kind of something I'd prefer to learn. Oh god, I'm sure there's an effect here somewhere. And obviously, I guess you could just make a new effect. But I don't know. Yeah, they seem to have their own system here that's not... Hold on, let me try and Google this. Okay, go to the items tab, create an effect. Spider rage. Duration, yeah, unlimited, I guess, is fine. And then the rules. Just modifier. I don't understand your scripting language. mean, again, when you have a system that plenty of people use, there's always going to be documentation and discussion about it. Whoa, jeez. This is certainly not as easy. As 13th age. I'd have to really look into this. And, like, try and learn. I mean, all I really want is, like, +1 attack rolls, -1 AC is pretty much... I wonder if I can just... I wonder if I can edit this. No. Oh, attack modifier. We just change that to 10. Okay, that works. That works. We can just do it that way. It's not very fancy. And we'll change this to 1d6 plus 3. And then we'll lower its AC to 16. Bada bing, bada boom. That's a lot easier. Okay. So it's enraged. It's out for blood now. No one is hiding. I really probably should have had Mauricio hide, but I figured she was the only one that had a hand free. So we'll just roll everybody. Okay, and we begin our encounter. Kira. Do we want to fling out a spell this time? We probably want to save Breathe Fire for like a group attack. So let's throw Runic Weapon onto Valeros though. Gets a +1 item bonus to attack rolls, increase the number of weapon damage dice to 2. That's pretty good, I believe. Then we drop Runic Weapon onto his longsword. Awesome. So that was 2 actions. For a third action, not a whole lot she can do, other than... Yeah, there's not a whole lot she can do. She could probably, like, aid Valeros. But again, the specific rules for aid are kind of elusive to me, I think. Okay, we're gonna read over this again. Okay. An ally is about to use an action that requires a skill check or attack roll. Requirement: the ally is willing to accept your aid, and you have prepared to help. To use this reaction, you must first prepare to help, usually by using an action during your turn. You must explain to the GM exactly how you're trying to help, and they determine whether you can aid your ally. When you use your aid reaction, attempt a skill check or attack roll of a type decided by the GM. The typical DC is 15, but the GM might adjust this DC for particularly hard or easy tasks. GM can add any relevant traits to your preparatory action or to your aid reaction, depending on the situation. So, yeah, I basically have to come up with something for how I'm assisting them. For how I would assist Valeros in attacking this. And it would have to be some sort of role that I could do. Generally, you know, something that I'm good at. I guess I'd probably just, like, say I'm praying for him. That's the classic one, right? Classic. And it's at a DC of 15 typically. We'll go with that. Okay, so I just roll. I got a 20, so it's a success. So now he is aided. So I don't know if there's effect aid. +1. Yeah. +1. Okay, that was that. And now Valeros goes. He's, of course, going to rush in on his first action. His second action will be to strike this greasy bastard. So he actually gets +11 on this roll. Very nice odds of critting, especially with that lower AC. Look at that stack. Wow, he rolled a 5. Barely hit this thing. Only thanks to it being enraged. Otherwise he would have missed. Now it'd feel terrible. But 2d8 +4 is a nice 13 damage, nearly killing it. So he could strike a second time just to finish this off before it even goes. It's a little risky, but let's do it. Okay, he missed. What do you expect? Alright, then the spider's going to go. It's not completely ineffectual. It does get a turn. It probably could flee, but it's enraged, and it just wants to destroy Valeros. So it's going to strike. Missed by 4. It's going to strike again. Missed by 4. At this point, he has a 15% chance of hitting on that. Not great. So I guess it'll try to run at this point. It has a speed of 25. Seems to be the new standard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, of course, Valeros will use a reactive strike to try and swing. So I think that bypasses any sort of multi-attack penalty. I think that's over at the end of your turn. Yeah, it does not count towards your multiple attack penalty. So he gets his full bonus. Whoops, I targeted the wrong person. So that's 16, he would have hit. And killed the spider as it tried to run. Pretty simple. Everyone gets 40 XP for that easy fight. Yeah. I mean, that fight probably could be harder. But, you know. Once the heroes defeat the spider, the players might think to check the spider's lair to see if there is anything of value hidden in the webs. Yeah, it's possible. Ask anyone who explores the area to attempt a DC 15 perception check. Oh, well, I mean, everyone's going to attempt that. Yep, they definitely all find it. They spot a wrapped-up bundle of bones and dried skin that looks like it was some sort of small reptilian creature. The bundle also contains a few items of value, a healing potion, and a short sword that has a small emerald in the pommel. While the sword isn't magical, the fine craftsmanship and precious gem make it worth 5 gold pieces if sold. So, a couple of cool things here. So it includes this, which is basically the loot box. And you can automatically distribute any coins in here amongst the group. And you can also then drag and drop things just directly onto tokens, and they'll go into their inventory and stuff, which is pretty sweet. And you can make this visible so that players can see it and loot it themselves as well. But before you do that, you may want to, as it suggests, or mentions, you can actually mystify items. So, in this case, when they open this up, they'll see the finely crafted short sword, but then they'll just see an unusual liquid. And they won't know what it is. They won't know that it's a healing potion. I wouldn't do probably it with healing potions in the third room of the tutorial dungeon. But definitely down the line, yeah, I do really like that feature. I think that's fun. And I like that they include stuff like that. But there is, automatic ways to identify these sort of things. So then you can just post skill checks, into chat, and then, okay, well, I'm going to roll my nature, and you have Ezrin or rolling Arcana, and he gets a 20, so now he finds out that it's a healing potion. All right, so we're going to give the healing potion to Valeros, and I guess we'll give the short sword to, I don't know, Kira. And that's it. In some adventures, the situation changes if the players take too long or rest too often, but this adventure and its encounter remain the same no matter how long the players take in exploring this dungeon. Any creatures the heroes defeat remain dead or destroyed, and any creatures they avoid remain in the same place, potentially posing a danger if the heroes pass through that area again later. It's probably one of those things that if you're teaching players new to the game and stuff, you'd probably mention that. And it's like, yes, okay, in this dungeon everything's very static. That will not be the case in the future. FYI. But we continue. And I think Marissa's gonna put out her torch for now. We've got enough light. Okay, and we enter into this section. After the web-infested cave, the passageway leading deeper underneath the streets of Otari appears to be mostly natural, but someone or something has worked to open the cavern and level out the floor, making the passage easily traveled. A crude barricade made from old wooden planks and part of a barrel blocks the entrance to a side tunnel, where the main passage continues off into the gloom. Okay. Well, of course we're going to examine the barricade. Valeros will step up and give it a look. He succeeded. He hears a faint clattering noise coming from somewhere beyond the barricade. The area is totally unlit, but characters with a torch or dark vision can tell that the tunnel opens up into a larger room ahead, with a large rectangular object in the middle. Okay, there are two ways the heroes can take apart the barricade. They can easily destroy it with their weapons, but this makes a great deal of noise and alerts the monsters in Area 5. They can also try to take the barricade apart quietly by rolling crafting or thievery. Well, of course, Marissa's gonna step up and roll them bones. She failed. The effort removes the barricade whether they succeed or fail, but if they fail, they make enough noise to alert the enemies in Area 5. We did it loudly, unfortunately. There's your excellent sound effect. Okay. So, beyond the barricade, an old cavern corridor winds down into the earth, ending in an ancient burial vault, lit by a strange glowing crystal emanating a blue flame. Alcoves line the walls, each one containing a rotten wooden coffin, while the center of the room has a raised platform holding a stone sarcophagus. So, we made a lot of noise. So, these things are already up. Oops. So if you enter quietly, these things are here, but they're still in their coffin. And combat would break out when they kind of wake up. and they have to spend their first action standing up. Whereas here, they've already stood up and they're ready to go. So I think we will just kind of go there. Just go there. Okay, we've got all. Still, there's no stealth. Maybe someday. And if I was just plain and my whole character was the rogue, yes, I'd probably be trying to stealth as much as possible. But in this case, I think we're just going with it. Okay. So, a couple things with this fight. We have 4 skeleton guards, 1 zombie. The skeletons have some damage resistances. And if we look at their stat sheet, they resist cold, electricity, fire, piercing, and slashing. So any piercing or slashing damage against them is reduced by 5. Fairly significant, but they do, to compensate, only have 4 HP. Not too terrifying. The zombie actually has slashing weakness and vitality weakness, so you can use healing spells and stuff on them. And they'll take that much extra damage. They also are slow, so they only get 2 actions instead of 3. Alright, let's begin the encounter. We're going to start with Kira. The problem is, of course, that if we look at the initiative, if she moves up, it's going to be bad news bears for Kira. She does have a decent AC, she has a decent amount of health. She could move up, raise her shield, and do one other thing, and that might be alright. But she's not going to... She's not going to breathe fire. Vitality Lash, unfortunately, is 2 actions, and she doesn't have line of sight on the Shambler where we're at. I guess she does have... She does have line of sight on the guard, but that is definitely further than... Yeah, so she can't target. She'd have to move up. And she's going to want to raise her shield if she's going up there. Is it worth it to just skip her turn? I don't know if you can delay your turn. Maybe you can. I think you can prepare an action? Delay. Yes, you can delay. I mean, it would be weird if the system didn't allow that. So, delay, you're removed from the initiative order when your turn begins, and you can return to the initiative order as a free action triggered by the end of any other creature's turn. This permanently changes your initiative to the new position. You can't use reactions until you return to the initiative order. Yeah, okay. She's going to delay. So now we've got Guard 1. He's got a movement speed of 25. So he's going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. That's 1 action. Then he's probably just going to use... Okay, so he's got a claw attack, which has the agile trait and finesse. And then he also has a scimitar, which has the forceful trait. So he's kind of... he could go either way, really. Really, it's just like +1 on the second attack if he uses his claw. It's not quite as much damage, but he's only going to go with the scimitar first. Wasn't even targeting something. But that's a miss. And then his second one, I suppose, will be a claw attack. Right. Yeah, alright. Not much exciting stuff there. Second guard. 1, 2, 3. And he's going to try and shoot Valeros with his bow. And Valeros is going to get +1 AC from cover. Now, I don't believe that it will automatically incorporate that. I could give him a -1 on his roll, but again, I think due to crits, that's not quite the same. Alright, he rolled a 25, so it's certainly a hit. 5 damage to Polaris. He's then going to roll his second short bow. And that is a miss. Now, if I were DMing, probably prior to this, I would mention exploration activities. Because one of the exploration activities you can take is defend. And that basically just means you're kind of walking down, walking around with your shield up. You're kind of walking cautiously, ready to defend at a moment's notice. And that actually means that you are counted during the first round of combat until your turn as having your shield raised. So that you can, you get the AC bonus, and you can also do the shield block reaction to cut the damage. So, had he had his shield raised, he would have actually taken no damage from that attack. And I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's assumed, but it's definitely the kind of thing that you want players to be aware of, And in some ways, it's a system that solves the idea of constantly checking for traps and stuff, because instead you just have your character seeking as you're moving around. And then searching as you move around, and the GM just rolls automatically for your perception to see if you spot anything as you're just moving along, and you don't have to keep declaring that you stop and search and blah blah blah. And if you're avoiding notice, you roll a stealth check, and that's your stealth number in case anything happens. And then that stealth becomes your initiative. So, throughout this, I think Mauricio would just say, I'm avoiding notice, here's my stealth check. And then she could use stealth as her initiative because of that. So yeah, if we were actually doing this properly, Valeris would have been defending, Mauricio would have been avoiding notice, probably... I don't know. Kira probably also maybe would be defending, and then Ezra maybe would be searching. Even though his initiative or his wisdom's not too hot, it's something for him to do. But I guess for now we weren't incorporating that. So this guy is going to go 1, 2, 3. I don't know if that's a line. No, I don't think I'd allow that. So 4. And he will shoot twice as well. Critical miss is nothing. Whoops, wrong one. Critical hit is definitely something. He rolled a 20. Yeah. Alright, there's not much to say about that. Again, if he was raising a shield, we could cut this damage by 5. But as it is, he takes 13 damage. Yikes. Yikes. Okay, Mauricio. So what can Mauricio do here in these cramped quarters? Because if we look you know, if the GM will allow that as a position, I guess. The map is not perfectly squared away, so I don't know what their intention is. Like, I don't know, actually. I guess we're probably going to allow this. Because otherwise you have to do a diagonal movement here. And I don't think that's an intention. So we're going to count this as a square that you can go into. So she's going to move there. And then probably... What do we think? A trip? Trip would be pretty good. I think she'll have trouble killing this thing if I don't trip it. She could faint, but it's mindless, so I don't know if that'll work. Okay, so we've already seen trip. Faint is if you use deception against the target's perception DC. And you have to critically succeed to be off guard unless you have a certain feat, which I guess we don't have. So fainting, probably not as good, and we'll just go for the trip. That should actually be sheathed. Okay, so we're just going to roll an athletics. No, not initiative. Stop it. 20 is definitely higher than its reflex of... Actually, it's pretty high reflex. 18. But it is tripped. How did I do that automatically before? Oh, that was how I did it. Okay, but let's pretend I succeeded, because I did. Just pretend I succeed. I wanted you to do it automatically. Damn you! So now I critically failed, so I fell prone. And it automatically assigned that. Alright, we'll just do it ourselves. Do it ourselves, damn it. Effects, prone. There you go. Now let's attack. Boom, hit, damage, yes, all good, 13. And this is piercing, which it is resistant against. I don't think it incorporated that. It did not. So it's interesting, there's no simple way to do that. I'm kind of surprised, I guess, with everything that the system does handle for you, that it doesn't automatically incorporate resistances or weaknesses. And there's actually no way for me to just automatically lower the number. I guess I would have had to have done it when I rolled damage. Yeah. So we would have had to have just done -5. Piercing. And do something like that. And then that would have incorporated the actual number. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, of course, always, for everything to be handled automatically. But no matter what, she definitely killed this thing. So, just go ahead and apply that. Oh, wait a minute. See, I spoke too soon. It automatically applied it when you click damage. There you go. Awesome. I spoke too soon. I spoke out of turn. Okay, that was her turn. Valeros finally gets to go. Now, unlike 13th Age, there's no rally action that I'm aware of where you just heal yourself. He does have the healing potion. I'd hate to kind of waste it so quickly, but he could do that if he wanted to. But since we know Kira is... Kira can go at any point. Actually, Kira could go right after Marisol, to be honest. Let's do it that way. Then we don't have to think as much. Let's update her, and we'll put her at 15. There. Okay, so she gets to go. She's got heal. And we want to... We want to spend 2 actions, I guess. Oh, no, I could do 3 actions. 30-foot emanation. Let me look more through this rule book over and over. What exactly does emanation mean? I mean, I have an idea. An emanation issues forth from each side of your space, extending out to a specified number of feet in all directions. Okay, so... And we actually, No, stop it. Why did you do such things? Okay, so it would be right here. I can't see... Okay, I think it wouldn't hit any undead creatures, actually. That's a bummer. That would be the best use of it, of course. Just slap healing on Valeros and slap damage on all the undead. It would just be so juicy. But as it is, I guess she'll just use 2 actions to heal. No, why? What? Don't do that. Yeah, heal. 1d8 plus 8, 11 healing to Valeros. And that was 2 of her actions, 1 of her heals. Now, let me just check. I really just want to be certain about what this divine font is. You gain 4 additional spell slots each day. At your highest rank of cleric spell slots, you can prepare only heal spells in these slots. And yeah, so it's per day. Okay. That's fine. I don't know what else she would really do other than maybe moving up. So I guess we'll go there. Alright, now Valeros is ready to cocklock, ready to rock. He's gonna go 1, 2, 3. He's right in there. He's going to swing at this zombie once. 20. Damage. Damage. Damage to shit. It's the weakness to slashing damage. Quite dead. And then he's going to raise his shield. Okay. Skeleton Guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now he could spend a second action to move in and hit, or he could just shoot. I think probably he'll move in. And he'll do just this. Scimitar. Critical miss. Shame. Alright, Ezrin goes way in the back. 1, 2, 3. It's fine. Spell casting usually is 2 actions. We could use Force Bolt as 1 action, and then that would be it. So that's kind of lame. I guess we'll just use Telekinetic Projectile against this Skeleton Guard. And we want it to be bludgeoning, absolutely. Miss by 1, unfortunately. So close. But hey, +1, you know, those little bonuses can come in handy. Don't sweat it. Okay, this guy is going to move 1, 2, and Valeros will use Reactive Strike. Yeah. Miss. Okay. So, if all creatures were intelligent, he would go around to the flank, but he's not intelligent. So he just moved there so he could swing a couple times. Miss, and he'll try again. Critical miss. Okay. This guard probably is just going to swing a few times and not, they're not fancy, they're not intelligent creatures. He's just going to roll. He'll roll some claws, miss. He'll roll another claw. Don't think he can. Oh, he did it! Because he rolled a crit. See? Okay, this is another good example. So, normally, this guy, Valeros, right now has a 20 AC. He rolls a 1d20 minus 2. So, normally then, he would never be able to hit him. Unless he rolled a 20. But even though he rolled a 20, it's not a crit, because he actually would fail the attack roll. Normally, this would result in an 18, as it says there. And an 18 is a miss. So it's not a crit, but it bumps up the failure to a success. So it's just a normal success. Meaning that this guy with his third attack can never do a critical hit to Valeros. The best he could hope for is this, which is just a hit for 5 damage. Now, unfortunately, Valeros used his reaction on swinging at this guard, so he has to take this damage instead of blocking it. But, all in all, not the worst thing in the world. Okay, Mauricio. Now, Mauricio is not an idiot, so she can flank. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can actually move diagonally. So diagonal movement, it's basically odd number diagonal movement is 5 feet. Even number diagonal movement is 10 feet. So your first time moving diagonally on your turn is 5 feet. The second time you move diagonally is 10 feet. And that resets, like, I guess, at the end of your turn. So I can just move like that for 5 feet, and it's not a big deal. Okay, so that was that, and now we can swing, and we get the flanking bonus. So this guy's off guard to our attacks, and you can see his AC is lowered. And we rolled a crit, so it is definitely very much a crit, which is a lot of damage. 1d6 plus 4 plus 1d6 plus 1d8. Because of the deadly on the rapier. Jesus. And then double. 25 damage to this thing. That's DPR. Okay, as a third action, I could swing a second time without sneak attack or anything. It'd be a +2 on the roll. So I would need a 14 or higher. I guess I'd prefer to try and trip again. So we'll do trip, athletics, success. So he is prone and off guard. Kira. I could. Well, yeah. I mean, we could do the big heal. Yeah, that would heal Valeros and deal damage to both. Heal. Okay, so I have to select these two to roll basic fortitude. 1 crit success, 1 failed. So I think if you crit on a basic check, you don't take any damage. And it's 1d8. So the one that failed is this one. So he'll take... Oh, God. How do I know which one is which? Can you ping it? Okay, good. This one. He will take full damage and die. And then Valeros will heal. And he healed for 6. And then I guess Kira would also heal. There you go. I mean, so that's a pretty nice big ability. It's her whole turn, but it killed a skeleton and healed 2 characters, so probably worth it. Sweet. Really like that. Okay, now Valeros is going to go. So he's going to move here. Well, actually, he doesn't even have to move. This thing's already off guard to him. So he's just going to strike. And, ooh, barely missed. He'll try again. Critical miss. He's going to go for the gusto. Damn. Alright. I tried. Ezrin is going to go and could just use telekinetic projectile, but I think first let's try force bolt. Even though I don't think it'll kill him. 1d4 plus 1. 5 damage. Nope, it does kill him. It's force damage, which is always like cuts through most shit. There you go. So now he's used his focus pool. We'd have to sit here for 10 minutes and kind of patch things up if we wanted to get that back. But there you go. That is an encounter. End. Doing pretty well. It's another 100 XP to everybody. For reference, we're at 220 out of 1,000 towards level 2, so it's a ways to go. It's definitely not a quick dungeon crawl, though. There's quite a lot left. This is the first floor, and I guess we're maybe halfway through the first floor, and the second floor is just as big. So we're like a fourth of the way done after nearly, well, like after an hour and a half or so. But alright. In this room, as our reward for coming in here, it says this fight is especially challenging. I could see that. I could see that if you're doing the wrong types of damage and they're resisting a lot of your stuff, and you didn't use heal from Kira to kind of just blast everything. I could see it being a little trickier. But we get the crystal. So we can go in here. We have a polished shield. Can be used as a shield, but more importantly, it's worth 5 gold pieces. So I think Mauricio's going to pocket that. And we get the Everlight Crystal, which just always shines a light. We're going to give that to Kira. And then I think if she wants to, like, have that present as a light effect, can we do that? She has it worn. I don't know if there is a constant light effect that you can apply for it. Probably? Oh, there you go. She holds it. And now she's also glowing constantly. Okay. And then it says to go in here and make sure you turn that light off, because that's the crystal. So now it's on her instead. Okay, I think we're gonna end it off here. I have to go feed my cats, but the last thing I want to do, we want to spend the 10 minutes to get Ezrin his focus back. So we're gonna do that. He gets his focus back after 10 minutes, but there's another way to heal that doesn't involve magic. It's available to any character that is trained in medicine. So we go to proficiencies. Kira is almost certainly our prime choice here. Who else could do it? Not Valeros. Mauricio could also do it. Not too shabby. And Ezrin in a pinch could also do it, but we definitely want Kira to do it. So any character can do a treat wounds action if they are trained in medicine. And that takes, I think, 10 minutes. You can only treat a character once every hour. So they get an immunity to it after an hour. Or for an hour. And you have to have a healer's toolkit, which I assume, yeah, we have. Good. So you spend 10 minutes treating one injured living creature, targeting yourself if you so choose. The target is then temporarily immune to treat wounds actions for 1 hour. The medicine check DC is usually 15, though the GM might adjust it based on circumstances, such as treating outside in a storm or treating magically cursed wounds. If you're an expert, you can instead attempt a DC 20 check to increase hit points regained by 10, so on and so forth. If you succeed at your check, you can continue treating the target to grant additional healing. If you treat it for a total of 1 hour, double the hit points it regains from treat wounds, which is pretty nice. So by default, though, if we get a success on the DC 15, it's 2d8, which is going to be enough for Valeros, so we'll just try that. Plus 7. We got an 11, which is a failure. So, failure doesn't do it. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I got a 21. I healed 11. So we can just apply that healing right away, and now he's at full health. There you go. Awesome. So if you get a critical success, it's 4d8. But if you get a critical failure, God forbid, which would only happen for Kira on a 1, then the target actually takes 1d8 damage. But we're pretty good. There's also a feat you can take called Risky Surgery, where you get a -2 on the roll, and you actually deal the target 1d8 damage first before you take the check. But if you succeed, it automatically becomes a critical success. So that's pretty good. There's actually a bunch of feats related to treat wounds. So I think this is meant to be a decently big factor for a lot of parties in healing their wounds after battles and stuff. And there's even feats for like healing in battle with it. So, not, kind of downplaying the requirement of having a cleric or something, because you can treat wounds if you have someone with high medicine. I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. Okay, so we've got everyone at full health. That's great. We're doing quite well. And we're getting some loot, getting some XP, and having a good time. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say I like the system quite a bit, especially in comparison to just the mess that Pathfinder First Edition kind of is. A lot of this stuff is just kind of simple and makes sense. I mean, it's level 1, so, I can't judge it too much one way or the other. But I like the 3-action system. I like how it kind of encourages variation and diversity and tactical thinking in combat, stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool. So I do want to continue this, though. I think it's fun. So we're going to keep going next time. But for now, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Menace, under Otari. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.